What I mean? Anyway, this has slowly become my least favorite poll of all time. By the way, the Harvard caps the Harris poll. I feel like is one of the most insane polls of all time. Obviously, their methodology is solid. However, the one part of that is not solid, in my opinion, is like the way they ask questions, specifically as it pertains to Israel. Okay. Like everything else is fine, right? Everything else is fine. And it's obviously a very reliable poll overall. But the one thing that is like insanely unhinged is whenever they talk about Israel Palestine, they'll be like, do you want the only two options that are available will be like, do you think Israel is small bean, or do you think Hamas genociders should ethnically cleanse all Jews from the area? And then people will be like, well, I don't know, which is like the analog for being pro-Palestine? I guess the other one. And then you click on the other one, and then like news articles will come out and be like, 75% of 18-year-olds in the country want to ethnically cleanse all Jews from the region. Like, it's like, that's not a good poll, man. What? Those are not reasonable answers. But beyond that, it's like their methodology has sucked for a while now. 45% of Democrats supporting Dobbs. Great poll. What's going on with Harris just putting out total junk over the past year? Oh, wait. What are they saying? People who design websites do not have a design a website for a gay wedding. The president did not have the authority without congressional vote to forego $400 billion. Abortion law should be left to states instead of being a national constitutional right. 56%. 44% say wrong. Wait. Where is it? Where does it say this? Look at the Dems number. Dem column. The president did not have the authority. People to design websites. Abortion laws should be left to the states instead of being a national constitutional right. 45% of the Democrats said yes to that. That's insane. Yeah, okay. No. This is just like, you are not asking the right question if you're getting that result. Okay? I'm sorry. That is so inconsistent. And for the record, that's not even like a little inconsistent. That is like in the opposite direction, okay, of inconsistency. Yeah, no, that is a really, really convoluted way of asking that question that probably confused people. There's no fucking way. Favorability of political figures, by the way. God, this is the best. RFK Jr., Musk, and Haley enjoy the highest net favorability. Elon Musk still has one of the highest favorabilities. Donald Trump has the highest very favorable metric here, by the way, on the list. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at 14% and 35% favorability. Donald Trump, most passionate fan base in the game, as you guys know. Same with Elon Musk, very high passionate fan base. Joe Biden has a very high passionate fan base as well. I guess in comparison to Elon Musk and whatnot, but like nothing comes near Donald Trump. You got RFK at 14% and then 35% favorable. That is crazy. Plus 18. Donald Trump is 0% because it's a half and half type situation where he here, this is important. Here, what's important here with the Donald Trump number is that he still has an incredibly passionate fan base, right? But then he also has more people who are very passionately haters of him. Okay? So that is something to remember, okay? You know, this graph ain't worth shit when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are seen as equally favorable. No, that makes sense. These are like the rugged, diehard Democrats. These are the older voters in the party. But remember, Joe Biden's disapproval is higher, so he's at a minus 14%. Harris at a R plus 6 for 2022 midterms. Wait, what? The Harris Harvard Caps poll should be treated like Trashfalgar. He's a noted right-wing hack and constantly has Trump's favorably around -3, which is just blatantly false. Also an R plus 6 generic ballot guy for 2022. I just need to hear it. Is Trump going to be president again? I'm listening, but I'm sick to my stomach with anxiety. Well, don't be anxious. There is a likelihood that Trump might be president again, but 100% likelihood that you will see an ad break at the top of the hour. So gear up towards that ad break by subscribing for $5 or for free at the top of the hour so you don't see that 3-minute ad break. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. How are people arguing with the survey? It's literally just presenting what people said. What do you mean? Half of the people don't even understand what these questions mean. My friend, the entire point of a survey is to ask clear questions. Okay? Like the abortion issue can be presented in a million different ways. If it's presented as, do you support murdering babies? And then that's a substitute for like whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, for example, then that survey design is incredibly flawed. Having a conversation surrounding the questions is profoundly important, especially when a survey result shows a massive difference in comparison to probably one of the most polled issues in this election cycle. In this election cycle, one of the most surveyed, most polled issues is abortion. If you see that majorly of a difference in the way that Democrats think about abortion, that means you fucked up on the question. You did not actually write a appropriate question. Anyway. Yeah, and I've seen this on like, obviously I've joked about this with like their Israel Palestine polling that is so disingenuous. They'll be like, do you support Hamas and the Islamic Caliphate, or do you support Israel? Like, that's not a way to ask that question. Like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, people need an option to pick that the Palestinian population and their plight in this circumstance. They're the ones who are the victims, right? So yeah, if you ask that question, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, you know, all glory to the martyrs. Let's inshallah restore the Islamic Caliphate. Like, I love Hamas. Like, that's the way that people fucking pick it. And that's not a good way to conduct a study. You didn't learn anything. Yeah. Average Harris poll will be like, do you want to live in a state where communism reigns free, unchecked abortions, illegals invade your cities, and taxes are 99%? No, 65%. Yes, 35%. Yeah. October 19th question, which got 83% true. Do you think it's true that Hamas terrorists killed 1,200 Israeli civilians by shooting them, raping, and beheading people, including whole families, kids, and babies, or is that a false story? Great question. What the fuck do you learn about that? I guess that, like, you know, not very good. People are not very good at, like, analyzing media, analyzing information, especially when the media presents it as true, especially when the media presents it as true, and then beyond that, they, the president will repeat it. Question, are you a terrorist or are you an American patriot? Yeah. U.S. military, police, and the FBI are most favored institutions. Yeah, that's not shocking. Police still being a favorite institution is insane to me. Plus 48%. But of course, America is a white supremacist nation. So, of course, dude, the fact that Facebook is a favored institution is also insane. That's crazy. Black Lives Matter, on the other hand, not favored. Twitter, on the other hand, also not favored. Palestinian Authority, not favored, understandably. China, people fucking hate China more than anything else on this list. People hate China, people hate Antifa, and people hate Hamas. Hamas and China, two of the least favored institutions on this list. So when you fucking ask, Hasan, it seems like a lot of people hate you nowadays. Well, maybe it's because I don't openly, mouth-wateringly fucking hate, like get an aneurysm when someone talks about China, okay? Or Hamas in the same exact fucking way. Now you understand how fucking reactionary the United States of America and its population is. Also, really funny when you got people that go, never heard of them for China. I guess a very small population. Why do people hate China so much? It's the worst country on the planet, brother. What are you talking about? And then immigration is now seen as a top issue facing the nation, up 7 points ahead of inflation this month. Yeah. Why is it up 7 points ahead of inflation this month? Because right-wing media dominates the discourse in a country where the Democratic Party or its media operations don't have any real tangible ideological policy positions, prescriptions, or any real interest in changing the way that we operate. So when the Democrats don't do shit, first it's the inflation situation, and everybody yells about inflation, okay? And then when there's a soft landing, I guess, on the inflation front, and inflation is like a little bit more manageable, then boom, immigration. Fox literally turns the dial. It is crazy how much ground we cede to fascists anytime we do not fucking correct the record on any of these media, any of these liberal institutions. Okay? They're all asleep at the goddamn wheel. And at a certain point, you have to recognize that it is by design. The Democratic Party has no decent counter message against immigration. They don't. They just literally let the Republicans run the table. They let the Republicans yell about how scary immigration is. They let the Republicans yell about how big of a problem it is. Republicans used to tie immigration to the economy. Now they directly tie it to the crime spree and drugs. None of this is real. Okay? The notion that the migrant crisis is like responsible for America's drug usage is psychotic. Okay? Damn near the entirety of drug traffickers apprehended at the border are American citizens. 94% of drugs that come through the border come through regular points of entry. It is not like otherwise law-abiding abuelas and abuelitas that are fucking, bringing bags of fentanyl alongside their babies when they're crossing the border. There's not a lot of fentanyl you can traffic that way. It's much easier to get an American citizen to fucking carve open their goddamn car and shove bags of fentanyl in there because they're not going to get stopped. Oh. It's completely made up. Here, I retweeted this Walter Masterson tweet the other day as well. The Border Patrol totally didn't mention that the suspect was a United States citizen. Total coincidence. On the 12th of January, CBP officers in Arizona located and seized approximately 492,000 fentanyl pills hidden inside the bed of a pickup truck. Wow. So shocking. I wonder why they didn't mention that part of the story. Even though that is literally the highest likelihood. That's how it works. Who is less likely to get stopped by Border Patrol when trafficking a shit ton of drugs? Someone who's Mexican, someone who looks Mexican, or someone who's a white American for the most part, or at least an American citizen. What makes you think that? What makes me think that is because I actually read studies on this stuff as a professional commentator. Okay? That's why I know what I'm talking about. You're also looking at one specific example of how these things work. Anyway. Yeah, make no mistake. I am illiterate still. Okay? Yes, I'm still illiterate. Let it be known. All right, you got economy and jobs at 25%, understandable. Price increases and inflation at 32%, understandable. Crime and drugs at 16%. Weird that they would fucking put crime and drugs together, because I feel like drugs is a totally separate issue on top of that. But I assume that the reason why they put crime and drugs there is because it's a good way to boost the crime stat when the fucking crime is not high at all, even though if you look at the midterm stuff, crime was the number one issue. I wonder why. Because the media literally fucking runs the show. Local news, all the way to Fox News, and every liberal broadcaster has this stranglehold on the American population. Okay? From Sinclair in the local news subsidiaries all the way to Fox News with Rupert Murdoch. These guys will turn around and say, crime is going out of control. It's out of control. It's out of control. It's out of control. Trust me, it's so scary. Look at all these black people. They're doing organized retail theft. And then they will tie false data to that. They will show the National Retailers Association numbers and present it falsely as though like organized retail theft is the reason why they have so much more shrink, right? And it's all bullshit. And the guys that sit there and fucking tell you that that is not the case and that actually crime is lower and lower and steadily dropping, especially when you look at like a much larger, especially when you pull back and look at a macro analysis, okay? And you look at the reasons why stores are closing in certain areas, like it has nothing to do with fucking crime. And people yell at me over it. They've been yelling at me over it for years. I've been saying this. And even people whose job it is to read between the lines. Okay? Like Cenk, my own goddamn uncle. A beacon of, I guess, progressive politics for a very long time. When he's the one who's being duped and leaning into this like reactionary framing, because he's 100% been duped, it's scary. One of the judges in my county I work in told the DA to charge more people for shit so they can hire another judge and build an expansion on the courthouse. The crime wave is literally manufactured. Yes. If you look at the data, then I'm right. Hassan sucks, lol. Yes, brother. This is an anti-intellectualist argument. What do you mean? Yeah. That's like most of the arguments that I make. Yeah. Hello? Data can be manipulated for sure, but data is perhaps one of the best, least biased ways of analyzing a situation. But looking at a situation and pulling yourself out of it. Okay? If your car gets broken into, well, this is a passionate issue for you then. If you see homeless people, you tie homelessness to a byproduct of crime, right? Then in your mind, you're a little biased. You're biased from your own personal experiences. You are not going to pull yourself out of that situation and look at the broader picture. Okay? That's why we have to look at empirical evidence, because anecdotes are heavily biased. Please share the data, though. Just don't spew anecdotes. Shrink plays a huge role in capital investments and divestments. I will link you a YouTube video that I did on this that has all of the sources in it, because I don't want to like argue with you back and forth. This is an issue I've covered for, I would say, for the past couple of years now. Okay. And you can watch that and be educated on it. But nothing I said was anecdotes. As far as shrink goes, the percentage of shrink that comes from outside theft is marginal and hasn't actually grown out of control. Okay. Even though the entirety of shrink is covered in the media as though it's like all responsible for theft. Like when the media covers shrink, they look at the larger number. I think it's like what, 32 billion or something? I forget what it is, right? I don't remember off the top of my dome. But the media will look at that and go, that's all organized retail theft. That's all theft in general. External theft. Even though external theft is a small part of that, and the growth of external theft is what you need to track and adjust to the growth of more shoppers in general, more foot traffic in general. And according to the National Retailers Association's own analysis off of their own numbers, shrink has grown consistently with foot traffic, and outside theft has not actually grown dramatically in this process. That is precisely the reason why Walgreens and CVS and all of these other institutions that closed up brick and mortar retail shops and locations in certain heavy foot traffic areas claim that they did it specifically because crime was out of control, even though when you looked at the actual crime that was happening at those locations, it wasn't higher than crime happening in any other location. And then they openly admitted a year later or a couple months later that they were actually lying about the role crime played. But guess what? I'm sure that it looked better in their quarterly reports when they hid the real reason as to why they were, engaging in these store closures and blaming it on a popular reactionary narrative. At the time, I said it too. And it's so funny that these same groups, right? Like these same institutions, like the New York Times, like legacy media in general, these guys turn around, right, and say, I can't believe that Americans believe crime is a massive problem. Why do they believe crime is a massive problem when it seems like the data shows that crime is not a massive problem? Yeah. Crime is down, but fear is up. Why is LA perceived as dangerous? I wonder fucking why. You, man, you're the reason. How many articles did you write about organized retail theft being a gigantic issue? Yeah. Outgoing LAPD Chief Michael Moore defense record. Critics say good riddance. How many did you, LaMFA? Crime is manufactured. What's next? The government deficit is manufactured too. Wait, what? I mean, yeah, the narrative around the deficit is manufactured, certainly. And as far as thinking that like I participated in the crime spree narrative, yeah, I participated in it by yelling about it, yelling about how false it is. And every single person, this is one of the videos. Crimes, and I want crimes to happen. Big fan of crimes happening. Yeah, this is from 3 months ago. This is one of the many videos I've done on this issue, but but yeah, something to consider, okay? Um let's move on from this crime narrative as well. People don't care about healthcare as much, which I think is crazy. People care about guns at 15%. National debt, federal budget deficits at 14% is crazy. Terrorism and national security is at 14%. Corruption at 13%. Nice, dude. People don't give a single shit about like any liberal issues for the most part. Across all party lines, inflation is still seen as the most important issue to voters personally, but immigration has increased 3%. 3 points. I wonder why. Yeah. All right.